Hey, what's happening? Just wanted to check in again and talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening with government right now. And one important voting bloc in the United States, and certainly even in Illinois, is farming. And the farmers are really having a difficult time in some areas. And so, you've heard so much about like the food shortages at some of these supermarkets, grocery stores, but then there's this also other side of it, which is the restaurants. And the restaurants, of course, are either closed or limited offerings, and so they're not buying as many things as they had. And so now the farmers are in sort of a tough predicament. And just to let you know, farming only takes up, there's only about 1.5% of the population that are farmers and voters, but they do get out to vote pretty regularly. But there is a lot of people who are involved with farming, and so whether it's the farmer themselves or the truck driver who's moving the food or the company that's producing the food or moving it to the stores and things like that. So there is a big part of the economy that's involved with that. And so I thought we would talk a little bit about it. And you can see in the background here, I've got the CNBC stock market show on because this is where I'm sort of keeping track of what things are happening. And so these are some of the things that I wanted to cover today. And I put on here corn and hogs because, of course, things that are happening with the farmers. And then currencies, which we've talked a little bit about currencies already anyway, but I thought we would cover it a little bit more, and including Bitcoin, which I'm going to send you a funny video about Bitcoin. And so just let's get started talking about things that are happening with the commodities with corn and hogs. Okay, so hogs, of course, what they make like bacon out of, ham, things like that. And the price of hogs, because of less demand from the restaurants, has gone from $75 to $42. Okay, so that's the futures traded at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And so if you're a farmer, now you're going to be trying to sell your hogs. A month ago you were getting $75, now you're getting $42. Is the government going to be able to step in and do something on their behalf? Corn has not been as bad, but the price did go from about $4 a bushel to $3.37 a bushel. So certainly it's had a hit. And again, farmers are hoping to sell it at $4 a bushel, and now it's $3.37 a bushel. And I know it sounds, oh, that's great for the consumers, but at the same time, farmers need to make a profit also. And you may have even seen like some of these farmers are pouring their milk out into drains because they don't have anybody to buy it. Schools are closed, so there's no milk being sold there. The restaurants are closed, so there's no milk being sold there. So is there going to be a bailout of the farmers, or is the government going to step up and do something about that? And it's not like they've had like crop loss, like sometimes you have crop loss and then the government will step in and replace the lost revenue from that crop loss. This is just, they don't have anybody to sell it to. And so it's going to be a bigger and bigger issue, and it's already, of course, a big issue. And, of course, all the way down the line to all of these different things that are taking place. But farmers, you think of states like Wyoming or Idaho, where they only have the 3 electoral votes, but everybody's concerned about farming. And of course, farming is in every state. And so you have to assume that they're going to have some sort of interest in the Congress of trying to protect those farmers. And so just like that's a little bit of background on that thing. Also, as we're like kind of watching this, you can see crude oil is still down at like $23 a barrel. And so it's really cheap right now, and it's going to probably stay down there. Getting kind of good for us because we get gas cheaper, but bad for the oil industry because then they're getting paid a lot less. How much time are we at, Grace?
4 minutes, 23 seconds.
Okay. Real quick then, just a couple other quick things. Bitcoin, whether or not Bitcoin is going to be one of those currencies that you're going to be able to rely on in the future, and that it's going to have more of a stable price, because right now the dollar's way up here compared to other currencies. And so, for instance, when class first started, you would have to pay about 19 pesos to get a dollar. Now you have to pay 24 pesos to get a dollar. So what does that mean? it's easier for Americans to buy products from Mexico than it is for Mexicans to buy products from the United States. And so that's going to, have some sort of imbalance with the trade, which I know we've already talked about. The RMB, the Chinese currency, also it's up to 714. And so it was at 650. And so now it's going to take Chinese 7.14 Bitcoin or RMB to buy $1 compared to 650, and so it's more expensive for the Chinese. And again, that discourages purchases from the United States, encourages us buying their products, and the same thing with the euro. And so those are some things that we also have to kind of keep track of. And the Federal Reserve does influence those things. And remember, the currency of the United States, which is where oil is traded, also is going to impact the price of crude oil. It's going to impact the price of gold, and it's going to even have an impact on interest rates. So things to keep in mind as we're sort of going through some of these things. And of course, there's so many different things that are part of this government bailout, but that's just one part, especially the farmers, that we have to keep in mind that normally Congress is going to step up and do something to help the farmers. We'll check in with you in a couple more days.